Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to No Filter Gen Z. I'm joined with Vidana and Lydia. Welcome, guys.
Hi.
Hello.
Welcome back to the show. It's chilly today, but I like
Yeah.
your turtleneck. I like those.
Red
It's
and
I mean, we live in Florida, and I just love that we actually get a few weeks of the year where we can wear stuff like
Yep.
that. So I'm
Yep.
grateful. I'm grateful. Guys, today there's some breaking news. A few days ago, the U.S. Biden administration just transferred $20 billion to Ukraine on Tuesday. It says for urgent economic lifeline in a form of a loan. So this is putting us back in debt even more, which is, I mean, that's the last thing we need right now. We're not even healing ourselves yet, and we're funding 20 billion to other countries, so they're throwing money around. What are your thoughts?
I mean, first my mind goes back to like Helene just in general, and then I look at like how FEMA was so drained that it couldn't even support or supply any of the people that were in need.
Right.
And then I'm thinking once again, we're still not that FEMA is necessarily attached to this, but it's still, I mean, it's still government money. I mean, it's the United States of America. It's our money, and it's
Mm-hmm.
being used for foreign aid, which I think comes to a point where it gets absolutely ridiculous. Because of course, I agree that we need to support our allies, but we need to support ourselves first
right.
because we're so crippled right now,
Yeah.
especially after the Biden administration these past 4 years. And I think that I think it's horrible, and but it's also not surprising because we've been kind of seeing this pattern with them. So it's not shocking, but it's just continuing to be very disappointing for
Yeah.
sure.
And then,
First,
yeah, Farana, what do you think?
nothing surprises me at this point with this administration. I mean, the other day we just find out that Biden pardoned his son. So what else are they gonna have? It's like I think just the remaining few days that they have, anything that they can pull out of their sleeve to cause propaganda, they're gonna do it. And this is just a whole bunch of propaganda that we're seeing. And I think when Trump gets in, he's gonna have to do a lot of cleaning up. He's
Yeah.
probably gonna have to request this $20 billion. Was it billion or million?
Billion.
Wow. He's probably going to have to request it right back.
Yeah.
And I think they're not going to even have the money to pay us back. Why are we funding them? Are we funding them so that way they can get more weapon for the war that they've been in? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, we should be focused on trying to stop the war, not keep it going. I feel like we're
Right,
we're putting fuel into the fire right now. It's not really
right,
a solution. It's just a temporary thing. So I don't know about it. But it says the New York Times says in theory Trump could try to unravel the loan by reversing the sanctions that keep Russia's bank assets frozen, which it's probably unlikely because there's so much chaos over there right now. But
right.
it's just money that we could have been using for ourselves, like Lydia was saying, and now we're gonna be in this position where we're giving this, and we're gonna be struggling ourselves even more. Like we're digging this hole, but we don't have anything to get out of it. We're continuously
Yes.
going down. So I don't know. I feel
It's
like
very disheartening.
yeah,
I seen a video the other day of this man that was talking about North Carolina, and the people in North Carolina don't even have heat,
yeah,
this cold winter. And we're sending $20 billion when it could have helped our own states here in the United States. Like, and he mentioned in the video there are people who are just dying from just being cold in North Carolina. And we're gonna just send $20 billion to
it's kind of
Ukraine.
sad to those people though in the United States because they're like that's why we have a government to help you in those kind of times. And
Right.
the fact that they're like just sending all this money so easily to other countries, and then they're sitting there like, what? What are we then? Like, are we not
They don't
the
care about
citizens of
Americans.
this country?
Chopped liver.
They don't
Yeah.
care. That's what they're trying to tell us. They don't care about American
Yeah,
citizens.
and a lot of people think that the government is gonna like save you. You know, they think that they can solve all the problems, but really, time and time again, I'm getting proven that that's not the case. It's
Yeah,
not true. It's actually almost the exact opposite.
for
Yeah.
sure.
When the government overreaches, that's when the problems actually come. So we'll see what
Hmm.
happens with that. We'll keep an eye on it, and hopefully Trump can do something about it once he gets in office. But we need this time to go by fast because like
Yeah,
they're trying to do as many things to add stuff to all these problems by the time
yeah.
Trump gets inaugurated. But speaking
Oh,
of,
January 20th, where are you?
yeah, I know. And speaking of, Meta just donated 1 million to Trump's inaugural fund in the latest step to mend their relationship. It's funny because in 2020 during the election, there was so much just censorship on the Republican side, on Trump's side. They took him off of all social medias, and this was big Meta thing. Like I mean, Facebook and Instagram, they took him off, and now they're trying to do something because he won the election to win his trust back. I guess so. Should Trump even entertain this kind of stuff?
Hmm.
I mean, I'm kind of torn here because I remember when Mark Zuckerberg had come out and basically said like he admitted to, kind of aiding in all the censorship on social media. And as you just said, Camden, just with like the Biden administration, but like kind of censoring. I think a lot of it was with the COVID
Yeah.
and all of that and like censoring certain information and all of that. I mean, I think Trump should definitely be wary because of what previously has happened. But I kind of almost respect Meta for donating money. Like I kind of almost like I almost didn't see that coming, but like I also don't know. It could be like, kissing up to him
Yeah.
kind of thing. So I definitely think there has to be a caution that comes with that. But I don't think Trump should take it 100% seriously, you know.
Right,
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
I think he needs to stand like have that backbone like he did in 2016, just to show even Meta that yeah he's the president. He's gonna do things that are right. And I mean, yes, you can try to do things like this to look good for him, but
Yeah.
I just hope he still does the right thing. But Fadana, what do you think?
I think Mark Zuckerberg is making an effort. Yes, I know there are some conservatives that are like very, very upset with him, especially the stance that he took. But I'm all about second chances, and I'm glad that he realized like the big deal that he had played into the Harris administration. I just need him to stop with the Facebook censorship that is still going on to this day, or on Instagram. I don't know if he even has control over that kind of stuff, but it would be nice if he would stop, with it on YouTube because you face that with your videos. But I think moving forward, I think we all want a fresh page moving forward. And I think a lot of Americans, they realized they were deceived for the 4 years that this administration had been in. And I think that's the reason why we see most of the states, they turn red because, over the course of the 4 years, um, people they thought they could trust Biden and Harris,
Yeah,
but they obviously couldn't, and there are many people this time around that have come to the light that used to be Harris and Biden supporters. And so I think we just got to give them a second chance. I'm a firm believer in a second chance. And then not only that, but I think over time his true character will be proven. And if he made the statement, then he's donating $1 million to Trump, then I think we're seeing a little bit of progress. At least he's putting his money where his mouth is.
yeah,
And he's facing a lot of hate from the left side too.
yeah. I'm hoping that you're right. I hope he is trying to get prove himself kind of. I hope that's what
Yeah.
the intentions are. But you're right. Second chances are exactly what should happen. I just hope that it's not just like a thing to make because Trump won. I hope he's not trying to get on his side.
Yeah.
Mm.
If we can stay away from that, then yeah,
Everybody
it's
gotta
fine.
get on Trump's
I mean, that's
side.
what they're trying to
Yeah.
do because they know he's
Yeah.
gonna do
Yeah.
stuff. Actually, that's why I just saw another breaking story that the FBI director is planning on resigning before Trump gets in office. So this is also breaking news. But people they know what Trump is gonna do. So if they've done something wrong, if they think they're gonna get any kind of
Yeah.
repercussions, they're
Yes.
immediately resigning. They're getting out of their position. So what do you think about Christopher Wray to resign, Lydia?
Well, I think it's interesting. I just saw Trump had like tweeted out really I think it was in the past day or two, but he was talking about how like it's good that it's happening and like after like he kind of led the whole thing and when the FBI had raided his home
Mm,
and he talked about like just I mean that's an invasion of privacy I can't even imagine and I just think back to that when he had mentioned that and just how humiliating that probably was.
yeah,
And so I'm glad that I mean I understand why Christopher Wray's probably, because he wants to get it out as soon as possible because he knows what's coming.
Yeah.
And so I understand him on that side. If I were him, I would too. Um, I really would, but as we all would. But I respect Trump for saying what he said, just about all of that. And yeah, it just makes me sad just of how that all unfolded and how that all went down with the FBI for
Yeah.
sure.
Right, right. I definitely second what you just stated, Lydia. And I also think too, with Trump coming in, there's going to be a whole different kind of administration,
Yeah.
and he's not going to fit in. He's really not. And so, if all those years you have been corrupt and you've been doing things that Kamala Harris um, and the Biden regime have been telling you to do for all those years, and then you have Trump that was not for anything that they were for, the best thing for you to do is just to get yourself out, because you're not going to fit in. He's not going to fit in
Yeah.
at all with the Trump administration, because there's going to be a whole new administration, so might
Yeah.
as well.
I agree. And did you guys see that? Like, even as we're getting closer to the election, all of these cases that Trump had are all being dropped by all the courts. All these stupid lawsuits, they're all being dropped, and it's really funny because they know that he won the election and the American people saw past this stuff, but it shows that there was actual political persecution, like
Right,
political driven lawsuits, which makes me sad too. That
right.
and then people should be recognizing that, though, that now that we're seeing them drop the cases, it's like, okay, so then what was the whole point? To get him
Yeah,
to not win the election? So now he
right.
won, so we're just gonna just drop it all because we know that it was made up anyway.
Well, it shows 110% how politically motivated, like as you
Yeah.
said. I mean, that is proof because they would claim otherwise, in the midst of all that when it was all happening. But now they know, I mean, there's nowhere to run really with that. So they they know what they have to do now because they won't have a chance doing it when he's in
Yeah,
office.
and then
Sure.
Fiona, you always say that the truth will come to the light. Things
Yeah,
are coming up, and it's like, okay, now we see the motivations behind everything they were trying to do to him, because they
pretty much.
didn't want him to win the election.
Pretty much. And also, they know too, because Trump is going to be in the highest position, being president of the United States, he is most likely going to do an audit
Yeah,
on why they did what they did. So, the best thing for them to start doing right now is to start dropping these cases, because they know they don't have any case.
yeah,
They really don't have any case. I mean, all the accusation they were bringing up against him, and that's what the enemy does. Like, he tries to just oppress you and overwhelm you to the point where you don't have a fight in you. But what we've seen is Jesus always prevailed at the end of the day, and he gave
hmm,
Trump strength to prevail in the midst of all the attacks. It doesn't mean that being a Christian or whatever, although we believe Trump is a Christian, some people don't, but I think he's trying to be, Christ-like. But we see that God prevail time and time again when he wants someone to be in a certain position. So
yeah,
Mhm.
that's my 2 cents regarding it.
yeah, and we,
Yeah.
and we know that's true because of the slight turn in the head that saved Trump's
Right,
life, as well as the
right.
the whole thing where he had to have that where he's a felon now, like all the mugshot and like that course in New York. That whole
Yeah,
thing was also politically driven because
right.
it was like set up perfectly for the election, right in time, just like we saw in 2020 with certain things. And so I'm glad that things are finally coming up, and you're right that God is showing that the truth is prevailing.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Well, my mom always uses this example, but she always compares Trump. Not that there's a direct parallel, and I feel like I've brought this up before, but that like Trump is almost similar to like a King David. Like you look
Mhm.
at like just how troubled, and you look at like what you would see like as today's standards as being like abhorrent
Yeah,
with what he did, and obviously a lot of the stuff that he did was not like societally acceptable maybe now, but
right.
it can be a parallel to how Trump had the things that he's maybe done in his past when he was younger, but now how the Lord has used him. I mean, King David was known as a man after God's own heart, even though, like, he was so broken, but God uses broken people. I mean, that's
Yeah.
what it is, and that's what we're seeing. And I mean, there's no way that everything that Trump has been through in the past year has been just all of chance, and that I mean that is divine,
Right.
how he is being used. And so I think creating a parallel to like, figures in the Bible is really helpful and useful, and it creates perspective
For
because
sure.
I think we lack that nowadays, and we're so quick to judge people immediately, especially people in politics, and on the
Yeah.
right side. People have
Sure.
a really easy time doing that, and so I think we really need to just take a step back and we need to look at those
Right.
examples that we have and create them for modern times of what we're seeing with Trump now, for
Yes.
sure.
Right. And even to go along with that, I think God is all for freedom for his people. I mean, just seeing just how oppressive this administration was being for the past 4 years. And I just love how God is a God of just a God of mercy and grace, because I feel like God wants people to be saved in the last hour because he is coming back soon. And so I feel like him putting Trump in the place that he has, this is going to be a great time for Christians to really step up and build businesses and start taking territory and
Yeah.
start spreading the gospel like never before, because God always has an agenda for why he allows things to happen the way that it does. And I think now is really, really a grace, I would say a grace door that has been open for more and more people to be saved in this hour.
That's good. That's really good. I'm glad. And I mean, we always say like Trump is 2 steps ahead. Well, God is like 100 steps ahead. He already
Yeah,
knows what has
for
to
sure.
happen and everything. So we're seeing it happen. It's great. There's
Yeah.
one more story I want to talk about with the U.S. House of Representatives. They passed a big defense bill, and they authorized some pay increases for low troops and all this stuff. But also the more controversial side of it, which we got to get to, is the bill bans the military health program TRICARE from covering gender affirming care for transgender children um, of service members. So that would mean like the mutilation stuff for children. What do you guys
Mhm.
think? I mean,
Well, I
because this is funded by the United States. So
it's a good idea because it's banning the children from their sex change,
yeah,
right?
yes,
And that's what we've been fighting and wanting for the longest. And so I think it's great that there's finally some kind of relief and there's finally some kind of hope, because this is ridiculous. I mean, a child should not be getting their body mutilated until they're of age.
yeah.
That's
This is
my
one of the first good things I've seen from the
yeah.
House in a while. That's
Yeah.
great news.
I mean, I think this is definitely a great victory, and we're getting back to traditional values and
Yes.
wholesome values, and we're stepping away from the wokeism that has invaded every area of not only America but the world globally. So I think that's awesome that there's a step in the right direction there, because we need to protect our children first. I mean,
Yeah,
America's children, that is number one. Just children in general, because
Right.
they are vulnerable. They don't have the capacity to understand what this means as far as a sex change, anything like that. So
yeah.
I'm really glad that they've moved in that
And a
direction.
lot of
So,
people don't realize this, but like, there's kids who get basically groomed by their own parents into changing their gender. Like, it's
Mhm.
pretty bad. I've seen some people on like TikTok just and Instagram. Like, there is real cases of this stuff, and then there's like they get older and they talk about when they were younger, the whole story. So
the
it's scary,
trauma.
and so getting a law to not allow funding from this is good. It's a good thing.
We're moving in a positive light, it seems like.
Yeah, and Lydia, you're right. The all not even just right here, but wokeism in general in other areas are starting to pull back a little bit. I mean, Walmart just dropped their DEI initiative, so
I
it's a
saw
good
that, yeah.
sign. We're seeing a bunch of people come back because Trump came back, and this is exactly why we were saying that Trump needs to win this election, because we
Right.
had a crossroads where like we were gonna really go full in on this woke transgender DEI, all that stuff that is just I don't
It's
even. It's
ridiculous. Yeah.
ridiculous. Yeah, it's not even. There's no word to describe it. It's ridiculous. Or we had Trump that was going to stick to the values that made this country great and the values that really God gave us. So, if he had not won this election, I don't think we would be seeing these trends happen.
I
Right.
don't think we would have been able to go back to traditional values, because we would have been so far gone
Yeah.
into
Right.
woke culture and all of these horrible ideologies.
And I mean, the American people knew that. They decisively voted against it, I think. I mean, we all knew that there was only one person that was going to stop all that from happening, and it was Donald Trump. So, it's a good thing, and it's a hopeful thing, I think, for the next 4 years. We're gonna see a lot
For
of good improvement back. The pendulum's gonna swing back a little bit to the center with just these social issues.
Yeah.
And I think that Trump is the one that has to lead it. So I mean, God knew that, and we've known that God knew that ever
For
since the assassination attempt.
Common sense is coming back.
Yes, it is. All right, guys, thank you for coming to this episode. Like the video and subscribe if you're new to the channel, because we got some more coming. Thank you, Fadana. Thank you, Lydia. And we'll definitely keep an update on these breaking news stories and bring the best next week. We'll see you guys next Sunday.
Bye.
Bye.